I don't know if you want the chairman to announce that the live stream is not working. Should the chairman announce that the live stream is not working? But that we are recording and we'll try to get the recording up as soon as possible.
We'll work on it then until then. Will we be able to have Councilmember Louise on Teams?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. That is working finally.
So, Mr. Chairman, as of now, the live stream, and we'll try to get that.
I mean, as much as we are.
I'd like to call this meeting to order, Lancaster County Council, here on March 11th, 2024 at 6 p.m. I'd like to welcome everyone for coming this evening as we conduct our business here in Lancaster County. Just for information, our live stream is not working at the present time. I think the audio is working. And we are also, Mr. Blackman should be here, he's gonna be late. And we have Mr. Jose Luis. He will be participating in our meeting remotely. Mr. Luis, can you hear me all right?
He was there. He's on your phone or he's on Teams? He's on Teams.
You was supposed to be on Teams.
Teams is
Bear
here.
with us, technical difficulties.
I mean, it says waiting for others to join. He was on there and we had him on and then it's like he rejoined or something.
I'm texting.
You want to try to call him?
Where's,
Bear with us.
we can put him on cell phone.
All he has to do is rejoin.
Log out and rejoin. Yep, he lost connection. He's in it.
You want me to do it on my cell phone?
We'll see if he can join
he
us in a
says he's
second. We'll see
trying.
him trying.
We'll give him just another minute, we'll go ahead and get started.
So the problem is on his end.
I'm not sure where he's calling from. Home or other.
All right, we'll go ahead and continue with our meeting. And, after our special presentation, if Ed joins us, we'll give him a couple of minutes to try to reconnect before we conduct our county business. Well, would you please rise and join Councilmember Brian Carnes as he leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. Gracious God, we thank you for this day that you have blessed us with. Father, we pray that you would give us wisdom and guidance as we conduct our meeting tonight and try to do the best thing for the citizens of our county. May you be with each of us as we go home, guide us and direct us, and help us to be the servants you would have us to be. Amen.
Amen. We're gonna call them.
We'll keep moving forward.
Sure, you
All our
put it on
votes
speaker
will-
or?
I mean, we'll have to take Jenny's.
We will have a
Laptop.
roll call for our votes.
I can hear you.
Do I have a motion?
All right, we'll try it.
Approval of our agenda.
Motion to approve.
Motion for Mr. Carr, second for Ms. McGrill. Any discussion? Let's vote. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham.
Approved.
Charlene McGriff.
Approved.
Billy Mosteller.
Approved.
Jose Luis.
I'm sorry, what are we approving?
The agenda.
Approved.
Steve Harper.
Put it on.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
We have unanimous approval of our agenda. Let's move on down to citizens' comments. Please bear in mind, this is not a period of dialogue with council or question and answer period. This is your opportunity to address council with your concerns. I ask that you address your remarks to council as a body and not to any individual councilman. Please speak into the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and you will have up to 3 minutes to address council. Your time will not start until you have provided your name and address. First, we have Dennis McIntyre.
Yes, my name is Dennis McIntyre. I live at 1846 Zion Road, Lancaster. I'm asking the council if they would consider no traffic or no truck traffic on the road I live on. Zion Road is a small road, about 3.5 miles in distance. It's these trucks have been going up and down our road. They got no business on our road. And this one particular company, now, I'm not trying to get rid of everybody. It's just this one company, and I've called them and I've talked to them about this. They told me that they had told their drivers when North Carolina was putting in the roundabouts to come through our area. Well, the roundabouts have been together for over a year, and the roads are cleared now and two done. But they continue to come through our neighborhood. This is there's no businesses on our road. They're just riding through, going all the way to Chester. They're coming from Union County, coming down to Charlotte Unity, which they don't need to be on either. But they're coming through our road and they're tearing it up. And not abiding by the speed limits. It's 45 mile an hour, this road. And you know, we as a whole road people, we wish that you would think about getting a sign put up. I mean, that's, you know, it's just too much. Car traffic's one thing. And I'd say 75% of the people that travel on that road, or our road, don't even live on our road. But the point is cars is one thing. Big trucks is a completely different thing. There's been several accidents at Zion Road and Old Party, right where the church is at. They didn't have nothing to do with the trucks, but one day there's gonna be. I'm just asking for the whole neighborhood that, I mean, you know, I know there's widowed, elderly women that live on this road. And, you know, this is just getting to be too much with these trucks. You know, you can't help a company that's coming through to go take care of a business down the road. But these people here are just, you know, just traveling on this road for no business. And, you know, they got nothing to do. They do nothing for Lancaster County to start with, except travel on our highways. And they need to stay on Highway 200, not on our road. I thank you for listening.
I thank you. You have a clock.
We have, phone, we have a low technology. You'll hear the beep on the phone.
Yeah,
The clock, okay, we got.
Oh, now we're
Next,
set.
we have Rita Catcher.
My name is Jerica Kutcher. I'm the head of school at Marvin Academy, and I live at 2024 Pinion Lane in Walnut Creek. I appreciate the opportunity to speak this evening and share my heart, because that's exactly what Marvin Academy is, my heart. One of the recurring concerns raised by the community pertains to the overcrowding in schools and the limited availability of educational options in this region. While there are over 20 private school choices within a 15-mile radius of our current location, I only found 2 private schools serving students in Lancaster County. The question that arises is, why is there a lack of diverse school options for residents of Lancaster County? Our capacity to serve goes beyond just 50 families. However, the exact number of families we can accommodate is not the main focus. This is much bigger than that. We are presented with a unique chance to demonstrate our genuine concern for the education of our children and our commitment to being part of the solution. By giving us the opportunity to showcase our ability to collaborate with local businesses, we can prove to the residents of Lancaster County that perseverance, determination, compromise, and compassion still exist. Continental's recent statement expressing their disapproval of our school's presence has left me feeling disheartened and puzzled. Throughout this process, I have strived to maintain a mindset of empathy and hopefulness. We never made any promises to our families, and I've always been transparent and straightforward about the various possibilities. However, when the first reading passed, our families became incredibly excited, and naturally we raised our hopes. I personally see the addition of our school to the business park as a fantastic opportunity for growth and collaboration. I have already had discussions with Unique Loom regarding potential partnerships in the future. I have wonderful ideas on how we can work together with the neighboring businesses. By engaging in community outreach projects together, we can create a relationship that benefits all parties involved. Upon my initial visit to the building, my primary concern was the safety of our students. The location of the park, nestled between woods and at a distance from major roads, provides a sense of seclusion and security. The neighboring businesses, being corporate offices or warehouses, further assure that there are no unsafe chemicals close by. The building itself is designed with safety in mind, evident from the locked doors on both sides of the entrances, ensuring that visitors cannot proceed beyond the immediate entrance area without authorization. While chemical safety may have been a primary focus as a school principal, I also have to consider the threat of potential intruders as much as I hate this reality. However, the building addresses these concerns effectively and not only meets but exceeds my expectations in terms of safety. I have been actively searching for a suitable location for the past 5 years, even before I met Brian. Together we have spent approximately 3 years exploring various areas. Despite our efforts, we have not come across any areas zoned for institutional use. Additionally, the lack of affordable options has posed a significant challenge. I have recently learned that 2 other schools, both private and charter, have faced similar difficulties. This again brings us back to a broader concern about the limited availability of educational choices for families in Lancaster County. In closing, I would like to express my gratitude once more for taking the time to listen. I pray that you will give us the opportunity to serve this community. Everyone here tonight, as well as those who couldn't attend but are watching live, are my heart. We are Marvin Academy.
April Allen.
Good evening, it's nice to see you all again. I'm April Allen, I'm with Continental, the address is 1830 McMillan Park Drive. And I really don't have much more to say to you than what I said before when I was here earlier. We've been here since 2009, we're the original tenants in the park, and we've continued to grow and prosper there, and I think we've been a good partner to Lancaster County. We've certainly created all the jobs and more that we committed to create. And I think we've been good citizens. You all had asked me 2 things when I was here, was to bring a confirmation of our company's position, and which you have that letter before you. It states it as being, our concern is about safety, it is about mixed uses in the park, and it's about maintaining and protecting our investment. And then the other thing you asked me was to meet with Mr. Sillian, and that did meet along with one of our attorneys on Friday. We had a great conversation. And I think it's fair to characterize it that we've just agreed to disagree. I understand the position that he's in, but I'm here to represent Continental, and we are not opposed to schools. We are not opposed to education. We just don't think this is the right fit in this part. So thank you.
Thank you. Brittany Zazen.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Zesson, and I'm a South Carolina resident. I'm the admissions director at Martin Academy Christian School, and I'm here tonight to speak on the topic of the rezoning of McMillan Park in Indian Land and give some insight from my position on why you should vote yes. Although our school has the capacity to accommodate more than 50 families, we will never be an extremely large school. Our drop-off and pickup system is designed to be quick and efficient, ensuring that we do not disrupt the traffic flow in the area or interfere with local businesses. Currently, we have 2 high school students who are licensed drivers out of a total of 40 high school students. The majority of our student drivers are either attending half-days or participating in dual enrollment programs at nearby community colleges. There is no reason to worry about our high school drivers causing any traffic issues, as we have taken measures to prevent any disruptions. Our school values strong relationships with our community, and we often communicate with local businesses to ensure that our presence does not pose any inconvenience. Our current location that we have been at for the past 8 years is off a very busy road, and our quick and efficient system, we have not had any interference with traffic to date. We currently have 58 South Carolina students, and since October, we have had 41 applications from South Carolina families. We have not advertised in Lancaster County yet, but we were in the local newspaper, so many families have been hearing about the possibility. I can only imagine how much the interest would grow if the rezoning were approved and we were officially able to announce in the community. I believe there was a statement made at the last meeting that you have not personally heard or seen the outcry from Lancaster County residents. I can personally say, with my job as the admissions director, I have spoken and seen the outcry from Lancaster County residents. As I stated in the beginning, we will never be an extremely large school. However, I think voting yes tonight will show the county that you hear their voice and you do believe there should be an alternative option when it comes to their child's education. Voting yes shows that we can all work together as a whole county to provide every child the best education they can receive. Thank you for all you do. It's not an easy job, I'm sure. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what I have to say, hearing our heart, and seeing the impact that we're trying to make for the better of Lancaster County. Thank you.
That concludes our citizens' comments this evening. Let's move on down to our special presentations. Here tonight we have recognition of Sergeant Sean Johnson for winning the Lancaster Chamber's Top 10 Under 40 Award. This will be presented by Sheriff Gary Fenton.
Hey, actually, before we get to Sheriff, we may have one more that didn't make it to the sign-up list that we got to double check first for the citizen comment.
I'll let them speak after we do this presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Council, it's always an honor to stand before you and brag and talk about one of our own at the Sheriff's Office. So I'm honored to be here to recognize Sergeant Sean Johnson. I'm going to ask him and his family if they'll come up. He did receive the top 10 under 40 from the Lancaster County Chamber. Sergeant Johnson has 10 years of law enforcement experience and is well versed in state statutes and case law, which is a necessary tool for him to be able to achieve his duties. He's a role model at the agency and exhibits the skill set that all deputies should strive to have. He leads by example, and others look up to him for his leadership abilities. Sergeant Johnson understands what's expected of him, and he routinely stays over to make sure or ensure that his responsibilities are complete. He's well respected by his colleagues at the Sheriff's Office, has a great work ethic, He uses all interactions as opportunities to serve, leaving a positive impression. So help me congratulate Charlotte Johnson tonight for winning the top. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, and thank you, Sergeant Johnson. We appreciate what you and all our law enforcement do here in Lancaster County. So we have one more.
Yeah, last
The
one.
last
Oh,
one.
did I miss? I'm sorry. Tiffany Violet. I'm sorry, I butchered. I apologize.
My name is Tiffany Violetti. I live at 517 Putting Drive in Fort Mill, South Carolina. I am a South Carolina resident. I have lived in Fort Mill since I was 8 years old. I grew up in the Fort Mill School District, where I later taught in elementary school for 10 years. I've worked as a teacher at Marvin Academy for 5 years. I'm also a parent of 2 students, a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, that attend Marvin Academy. Our youngest daughter has spent her entire school career so far at Marvin Academy. I can speak as a parent and a teacher about what a wonderful experience Marvin Academy has been for our family. As a teacher, coming from the broken school public school system, I can speak on the heart of our school. Not only do we provide our students with curriculum based on state standards, but we also provide them with a safe school environment where they are taught life skills and how to be well-rounded citizens in the community. We strive for excellence in all that we do. Related to the issues of safety of the new location, I know our administration has worked tirelessly to make sure that the safety of our staff and students always comes first. When this new location was presented to us, one major benefit and highlight was how far off the main road and safe the location felt for our students and staff. I feel confident that if we move forward in this location, our administration will continue to research and develop the most effective safety plan to continue to keep our students, staff, and families safe. As a parent, I can say that our school has handled the health and safety of our students with the utmost care. During COVID, our school administration's goal was to bring our students back to the classroom in the safest way. We continue to revise and make new health and safety plans as our world continues to change. I am confident that the health and safety of our school family is a top priority for our administration. While I know our school, being a private school, does not help the community monetarily speaking, we strive to be present in the community, and that is a priceless life lesson. Since being on the Marvin AME Zion campus, we have partnered with the church community in many different ways, and our school families always show up with the love and support. We also have programs in our school that include Operation Christmas Child Collection and donation for local retirement homes. We want to model, encourage, and teach our students that it is important to be a part of the community and give back to the community. This school, staff, and students are special. My children love going to school. I love the vision for this school. I would love to see our school expand so that we can share our school with more people in our community. We are warriors. We always have been, and we always will be. Thank you.
That concludes our citizens' comments. Any electronic? No
No,
electronic
sir.
comments. Let's move on down to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve consent agenda items 7A, 7B, 7C, and 7D.
Second. I have a second from Ms. McGriff. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham.
Approve.
Charlie McGriff. Billy Mosteller.
Approve.
Jose Luis.
Approved.
Steve Harper.
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
We have unanimous approval of our consent agenda. Let's go on now to our non-consent agenda this evening. We have item 8A. We have resolution 1256-R 2024 regarding approval of a grant match for an EMS grant to update SWAT medical equipment. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion for Mr. Carnes for approval. Do I have a second? Second for Mr. Graham. Mr. Marstall, Mr. Clay Cato.
Mr. Chairman, council members, this resolution is to receive a grant from the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control in the amount of $11,017.52. The action for you is to do a county grant match in the amount of $2,285.63. So the total for this grant for the SWAT medic, which is being represented here tonight by Mr. Greg Brazington, would be a total of $13,303.15. Mr. Brazington, want to highlight a small portion of that grant for the council?
Gentlemen, we have currently our tactical medics, we respond with our SWAT team to go out and high-risk warrants. These vests and this grant will actually help us to replace some of our old vests that we have. And we do have currently steel plates. Now, you can ask yourself why the steel plates expired, but it does have a special coating on the side of the vest that does expire. So if you were to have an injury or a ballistic event to hit your vest, that smaller, but that bullet would dissipate and go up into your neck area, to your arms. And that's one of the reasons we're asking. And they do have that coating which does expire. So this is the reason we're looking to update these vests. I have a ballistic chart if anybody would like to have our rating they go to.
Thank you.
Any questions, Mr. Brazington? Thank you. All right, Mr. Marshall, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, we have funds available in the grant match fund.
All right, any discussion on this? Anyone have any concerns? Hearing none, I'll read off the roll call, please.
Terry Graham.
Approve.
Charlene McGriff.
Approve.
Billy Mosteller.
Approve.
Jose Luis.
Approve.
Steve Harper.
Approve.
Alan Blackman. Oops, sorry. Brian Carnes.
Approve.
We have unanimous approval, resolution 1256-R/2024. Let's move down to 8B, resolution 1257-R/2024 regarding no-through truck signs on Zion Road. I have a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Second. I have a motion from Mr. Marsteller, second from Ms. McGriff. Mr. Marsteller, Mr. Cato.
Mr. Chairman and council members, as you heard during the public comment tonight, pleased to announce the county is very responsive as to the request for Zion Road. Is it currently a state-owned and maintained road? However, there's been conversation between our public works director, Mr. Cato, and the State Department of Transportation, who referred the citizen to the county. The process to install no-through truck is for the council to adopt a resolution. If that's passed, we then send it to the Department of Transportation, and they will put up the signs. One factor to consider is that this is a truck route basically from Highway 200 through Zion Road. If you're familiar with the area, you just have to think about where trucks might go, if not down this route, if it leads to other issues for other neighborhoods, or if they will stay on Highway 200 with these signs. But otherwise, the Department of Transportation has no concerns, nor does our Public Works Department. So we offer the resolution for your consideration.
Mr. Chair, how long will this process take to go through the process and get the signs up?
Should be fairly quick. I'd say it could even be a month, 2 months. So once we submit the resolution.
Who's going to enforce it?
Well, that would be up to the, state. Kennedy Highway Patrol is a state road. Could also be up to the sheriff's office. But, or we do have the highway, trying to be the appropriate, agency.
Measures.
Thank you, yeah, weight and measures, thank you, who can also enforce that.
This is in my district, and I know exactly what you're talking about. This road, some of the residents called me about it. It is really a dangerous road at Old Pardew and Zion, right there near Zion Church. There's a bad curve, and you can cross there with a carper to get a trailer coming through there. They're gonna be a bad wreck there one day because of these big trucks. I was really concerned about it, that's why I started supporting it.
All right, and the state will put those signs up? Okay. Any more discussion?
No, just keep us updated as to when it's completed.
All right, any more questions? Hearing none, ready to call for roll call, please.
Terry Graham,
Approved.
Charlene McGriff,
Approved.
Billy Mosteller,
Approved.
Jose Luis,
Approved.
Steve Harper,
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
We have unanimous approval of resolution 1257-R 2024. All right, let's move on now to the third reading of ordinance 2023-1877 regarding rezoning property located at 1662 McMillan Park Drive from light industrial LI to institutional INS district to convert an existing structure to a K-12 private school facility. The applicants are Brian Cillian, Great Bridge McMillan LLC, and LAHSC McMillan LLC. Do I have a motion to bring this to the floor? Mr. Louise.
So moved.
I will have a motion for Mr. Louise to bring this to the floor. I need to have a second.
I'll second it, bring it to the floor.
I have a second for Mr. Carnes to bring this to the floor for discussion. All right, Ms. Harden.
Yes, sir. As we have shared with you before, this is a rezoning request in McMillan Industrial Park to rezone a piece of property from LI to INS, LI being light industrial, INS being the zone that we use for schools and for institutional uses. The official park boundary, as we showed you at the last meeting, has been superimposed on top of the map to show you the actual McMillan Park area. Separation requirements is something we've been talking about a good bit lately. Separation requirements are those requirements that go above and beyond setbacks. They are required from certain uses in the LI zone when they are in proximity to residential and or school systems. The ones shown on the screen, for instance, are landfill, restricted storage, wholesale distribution, restricted, and shooting ranges. All four of those are uses that are allowed in the LI zone, but they have to be a certain amount of feet away from a school or residential use. And we, as I showed you in the meeting last week, the different buffers for these uses, the 1,000-foot buffer, the 1,320-foot buffer, and the 2,640-foot buffer are shown on the screen. An update on the requirements. We talked about the requirements that would be needed to achieve before this goes for final. We did get the CC&Rs amended from the applicant. The ordinance to amend the comprehensive plan was rejected at the meeting where it was held, so that was not achieved, but it has been addressed. Having that gap would put us in a challenging position to defend it. The county attorney also reached out to Chesterfield County regarding the multi-county business park, because this is in a special agreement with the multi-county business park. What we discovered for that is that Chesterfield County would have to pass a resolution to remove the property from the park if that was something you wanted to recommend, and then we would, or you would have to pass an ordinance 3 times to remove the property from the industrial park. Compatibility has not changed, and our positions as staff and the planning commission hasn't changed. We have never been opposed to a school or a private school. We have been opposed to the location. We believe the location is unsafe and not in the best interest of the county. It's incompatible with existing uses, it's incompatible with the fee and lieu program, it's incompatible with the multi-county business park, and it's incompatible with the comprehensive plan. Based on those, we also have to say as professionals that this recommendation for us is not to go forward with this rezoning in this location. We'd be happy to entertain a rezoning in a more location in the future.
Would you tell everybody what CCR is, please?
Covenants, conditions, and restrictions. Those are things that are tied to the property that restrict you from what you can and can't do regardless of what the property is zoned.
Anyone have any questions?
I have a question. Have the CC&Rs been resolved? Has that issue been resolved?
Which part, sir?
The amendment that you had requested from the parties so that the use would be allowed under the CCNRs.
The CCNRs were signed off. As far as the actual meeting the 50%, now that we've mapped out the boundary of the McMillan Park, I have to go back and review. There's 72 acres. That was part of Kennemetal that was not part of the business park.
So I have those numbers. We currently have 68% of the business park that has approved it. The only two that have not signed is Continental, and then, which owns the 3 parcels on the left, and then the small parcel on the right is owned by the Property Owners Association, which does not exist. And then one more thing in regards to the separation requirements, if you can go back to that slide. Those requirements already exist with the NDR properties that abut the Continental property to the left. So there will be no, I guess, new separation requirements that come into play.
That's incorrect.
Do the same restrictions apply to NDR?
They go further, so there would be new impacts. The actual text is the same, but the impacts go further if this is rezoned.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, those separation buffers just apply to restricted storage and restricted warehousing, which is hazardous
They are
material.
applied to the landfill, the storage restricted, the wholesale distribution restricted, and the shooting ranges.
So non-restricted wholesale and storage can be developed, and office can be developed, and anything else under LI?
Based on the existing codes and based on the setbacks there, yes.
Mr. Graham,
I got a question. You talk about this 68%, but the only document that I got that has one of the signatures on of one of the members of the business park is Continentals. Where's the other, why didn't we get it? Why don't we have that?
This, the CCRs are recorded with the county, so that was one of the requirements before we came back. And we signed it and it's recorded with the Register of Deeds, all the signatures.
Yeah, but we also talked at length about having documentation that all these other partners agreed to have the school there, and I have not seen that documentation.
So they agreed by way of the approving the use in the amendment. But,
No, I wouldn't think that's true. I wanted to see, and I talked at length, not at this meeting, but the one before, about this very issue. And you said you were gonna send them.
Mr. Chair. You know, the first presentation was 100% participation by industry in that area. Then now we find last meeting was Continental Tower that was not in favor, and now we hear tonight that it's another business industry that's not in favor. Please believe me, I am not opposed to schools. I have grandchildren in schools. I was on the school board at one time in my life, so education to me is fine. But also, the safety of our children is more concerned. And believe me, as a council member, we have to look at the best interests of the county and the existing industry. Continental Tower was there years before the city came about. I think our commitment right here, at least my commitment, is going to be with the existing industry that brings into this county a tax dollars and bring in jobs. So certainly I would not want to push that business out or have them one day want to expand and they won't be able to. And to accommodate 50 families, when we're looking for tax dollars from jobs and industries to come in, at this point, I don't see where I can approve that.
So just to clarify that, there wasn't a second business that didn't sign it. It's owned by the POA, the property, which is all the businesses. And when the park was finished, that property was donated by the original developer to the POA. And that POA doesn't exist, so nobody can sign on that on behalf of the POA. That's one thing. Two, I think it's important to note, Continental has stated their position, but we also have Nutramax, which is a large employer that has expressed its support. Unique Loom here who are also taxpayers and also have committed to that business park, and see it as an asset for their employees to help retain employees. And then to address the 50 families, I think they have 50 families each coming up, but the initial enrollment, about 95% of the students that are showing interest are from Lancaster County, which would be upwards from somewhere between 125 and 150 families.
And I'm gonna go back to what, Mrs. Graham says, that we don't have anything in writing to say those other companies that support. It's just verbal right now.
Okay, so the amended CCNRs, the language in that is on the registered deed saying we approve, we support, we allow this use within the business park. That's the language, I don't have it in front of me. And yet it's signed, witnessed, and it's recorded with the register from all those businesses.
I'm not against schools either. I would encourage Lancaster County and the planning director to, if this doesn't work out, to find you a location, because educating children are very, very important.
Mr. Mostello.
I have a couple of other questions.
Let Mr. Mostello
So-
speak, and I'll give you the floor. Go ahead.
Can y'all hear me?
If y'all know, since we had come on first reading that I've been against this, just for the main reason of safety of the kids. I've been straight up with them about it. That's been my number one concern, and also it's going to be detrimental to our tenants that's in this industrial park that's in there now, and any future ones that might come in. There's some Care has got 70-something acres, I think, for sale for somebody else to come in. It's going to be another, you don't know what's could come in there. It could be something good. There's no chemicals in some of them now that's near the school, but you don't know 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what might move into this industrial park that could be hazardous to these children. So, you know, with all that said, and the setbacks really just kill it, with this new setbacks from the school. I think Continental's gonna lose about 12 acres of their, property that they're expanding an expansion on. And I'm sure these other ones that signed those letters for you don't know about those setbacks from a school, the new setbacks, how much property they could lose. So, you know, it's just not, I'm like the rest of them, I'm in favor of schools, but please just put it somewhere else. It's just not a good fit for schools. But.
Mr. Louise. Mr. Louise, go ahead.
Thank you. So a quick question for Ms. Martin. Have we addressed the separation requirements previously and amended the ordinances to adjust for separation requirements?
Not in the LI Center.
What did we do with the asphalt plant?
You amended the conditions and the setbacks and the space and the operational requirements and included new ones and made changes to that.
So we can't do that with this as well?
If you have an ordinance, yes, sir.
Okay. And then I believe the applicant, there have been some questions about Nutramax and kind of their involvement, their support. And correct me if I'm wrong, but they have asked for an extension of this, and that I believe has been requested, but they have been advised that a council member has to make that motion to request it. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I would make that motion to allow Nutramax to have a voice as well in this conversation.
Councilmember Louise, are you asking for a motion to postpone at this time?
I would ask for a motion to postpone until the first meeting in April.
All right, Mr. Louise has asked for a motion to postpone. Do I have a second to bring that to the floor?
I second to bring it to floor.
All right, we have a second for Mr. Carnes. We need to discuss that motion.
We've been dealing with this since August. And we just seem to be just drawing it out for everybody.
My original support was based on all the industries in the park supporting this. And unless there's additional information to support this motion to postpone, I can't support it. All right, so any other comments on that? Hearing none, we have a motion to postpone.
I have
Go ahead,
a
Mr.
question.
Carnes.
On the setbacks, we got information, and it was a little ambiguous of whether this would be considered a taking.
We provided information on that, but no, would not. There are two forms of taking, physical and regulatory. And in order for this to be a taking, the property would not be able to be used for any other use, and there still are other uses for this property.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh, wait, excuse me.
Go ahead.
In the setbacks, what other uses could be put in that setback?
I need Director Harden to answer that.
Okay.
We have more uses in that zone that have, that don't have any special separations. That's why those are listed out as being special separations. The ones that don't have special separations are light industry, and that's a general term of uses. Research and development facilities, outdoor storage, self-storage, mini warehouses, wholesaling and distribution not restricted, landfills, agricultural facilities.
Those are things that can be put in the setback of Continental if this is approved?
Yes. Geothermal and solar energy systems, utilities, class 1, 2, and 3, wireless facilities, wireless communication facilities, heavy equipment,
What about an
manufacturing,
amusement
rental,
center?
sales, repair, parking lots, principal uses, vehicle rental, leasing and sales. Oh, excuse me, that's not in the other line. That's in the other one.
Mr. Luis had a specific
Mr.
question.
Louise, yeah.
What was that, Mr. Luis?
What about amusement center indoor, and then art studios, dance studio, music studios?
It depends on how the rest of the meeting goes, because you have an ordinance on the table for that.
But currently they're allowed,
As of right now, yes.
and that won't impact the setback requirements.
That does not currently impact these separation requirements. All setback requirements are the same. The separation is where you add on to the setbacks and make it much more extensive because there is a notches or some type of use that has a conflict point with the use you're trying to protect, which would be the school.
Okay.
All right, any more discussion? All right, we have a motion on the floor to postpone. Need a roll call vote, please.
Terry Graham,
No.
Charlene McGriff,
No.
Billy Mosteller,
No.
Jose Luis,
Approve.
Steve Harper,
Oppose.
Alan Blackman,
Oppose?
Brian Carnes.
Opposed.
All right, that motion to postpone fails by a vote of 1 for and 6 opposed. So let's move on back to our third reading of this ordinance. Is there any more information before we vote? Any more discussion?
Discussion?
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for clarification for the county attorney.
Go ahead.
So if I were to vote opposed to the current motion in the third ordinance, does that preserve a right to bring it back at a future date?
There could, it depends on whether your opposition succeeded or not.
So if my opposition succeeds, I can bring it back?
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Brand, did you have anything else to add?
Yeah, when this thing all started, my position was that as long as all the industries within that business park supported this, I was okay with it. But it's a business park, and so that has changed, so that's my position.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to reiterate what Mr. Graham said. That was my position last meeting we discussed this. That's my position this meeting that we discussed this. I think I've been led to believe that maybe I just assumed, and shame on me if I did, but that everyone in the park had agreed to this, and now we find that Continental has not agreed to this. I'm also concerned that Continental, even though they might could do some ancillary things with that setback, if this were to pass, their primary, probably and highest and best use for that setback would be to put offices there, and that might be something that they're interested in the future that we would be taking from them. So I just cannot support this rezoning.
Mr. Louise, any final thoughts?
Nope.
All right, I'll call for the vote, please, roll call.
Terry Graham,
Opposed?
Charlene McGriff,
Opposed.
Billy Mosteller,
Opposed.
Jose Luis,
Opposed?
Steve Harper,
Opposed?
Alan Blackman,
Opposed?
Brian Carnes.
Opposed.
All right, third reading of ordinance, 2023-1877, fails to pass by a vote of 0 for and 7 opposed. Let's move on now.
Mr. Chairman?
Just a short break.
We do need to do a reset on our technology that we can get the live stream going, so while they're clearing the
All right,
room.
let's take a 5-minute break.
Okay, we're ready.
All right. Mr. Louise on the
We're
phone?
going to check right here. Mr. Luis, are you, want to continue on Teams or on the phone?
I would like to be on Teams, but I can't hear anything from the.
Oh, okay, the sound is still not coming through on Teams?
Yep, the sound.
Okay.
Put it on the internet.
We thought we got it. Let's double check. Can we hear Gracier?
I'm assuming, but I don't know.
Let me try one more time. Oh, there you go.
We got it?
I just can't hear you.
Can you hear us if we're talking now?
I just got my phone.
Oh. Let's hold on, turn that off. Okay, is that any better, Mr. Luis?
I can hear.
I can hear you.
Great, we'll go forward then with you and Gracier on Teams. Thanks, Gracier, gotcha.
I hear you too.
Great, okay.
I can hear y'all too.
We'll go this way, and if something falls off, we can go back through the phone method, but we'll stick this way. All right, Mr. Chairman?
Are they talking? No, I cannot.
We'll let you know when we get your item, Ms. Gracier. We've got another agenda item we'll get to before this one.
All right, let's move on now to our public hearing and third reading of orders 2024-1890 regarding a second amendment to fee and lieu for Rico Industries. Mr. Falk.
Good evening, council members. We are bringing to you today the third reading of ordinance 2024-1890 for Project Planet, now identified as Rico Industries. Ordinance 2024 1890 reads to authorize the execution and delivery of a second amendment to the fee agreement between Lancaster County, South Carolina, Rico Industries, and to provide for other matters related thereto. Rico is a long-time employer in the county and the largest employer in East Springs, employing 169 individuals. Rico has exceeded both its employment commitment and investment commitment. The previously applicable 50% SSRC, Special Source Revenue Credit term, expired in 2023. Given the importance of the county and the area and our desire to retain the company, we will, with this second amendment before you, continue to provide a similar level of tax abatements, SSRCs, for up to 5 years, however, to be reviewed annually. Without this amendment, Rico would forego its abatement for the prior year and going forward at a time when it is undergoing a financial transition eventually designed to improve bottom line results. The annual abatement sum involved is modest at approximately $50,000 annually. The Economic Development Department recommends this amendment and requests your affirmative vote for this reading.
Any questions for Mr. Paul?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to recognize that Councilmember Luis is now back on the phone. And so if Mr. Luis has any questions, he can ask through the phone.
All right, we do have a public hearing. No one signed up for this. So I'm looking for a motion to bring this matter to the floor.
Second.
Mr. Graham, second from Mr. Black. Any discussion? Hearing none, ready for roll call?
Terry Graham.
Approved.
Charlene McGriff.
Approved.
Billy Mosteller.
Approved.
Jose Luis.
Approved.
Steve Harper.
Approved.
Alan Blackman.
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, we have unanimous approval, third reading of orders 2024-1890. Let's move on down to 8D, our public hearing and third reading of orders 2024-1891 regarding an amendment to the multi-county park agreement for Rico Industries. Mr. Fox?
Thank you. We're bringing you today a third reading to authorize an amendment to Section 6 of Ordinance 1088 relating to the distribution of revenue to be received from the multi-county park created for East Springs Industrial Park. Ordinance 2024-1891 reads to amend Section 6 of Ordinance number 1088 relating to the distribution of revenue to be received from the multi-county park created for East Springs so as to permit a portion of the revenue derived from industries or business located in the park to be used by the county to make infrastructure reimbursement payments and to provide for other matters related thereto. We're requesting this change in order to be able to have a company in the park, a company in East Springs Industrial Park, pay the property tax revenues as they become due under either a fee load or standard ad valorem arrangement, and should we decide to do so, reimburse the company such that the net effect is the same as having an SSRC. The Economic Development Department recommends a small amendment and requests your affirmative vote.
Any questions for Mr. Ford? Hearing none, we do have a public hearing scheduled on this third reading. No one signed up. So I'm looking for a motion to bring this matter to the floor. I have a motion from Mr. Mostello. Second from Mr. Blackman. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I think we're ready to vote. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham. Charlene McGriff.
Approved.
Billy Mosteller.
Approved.
Jose Luis.
Approved.
Steve Harper.
Approved.
Alan Blackman.
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, we have unanimous approval of third reading of orders 2024-1891. Let's move on down to our third reading, the public hearing of orders 2024-1892 regarding an amendment to the fee agreement with RV-Imagines LLC and Lancaster Real Estate Group LLC. Mr. Falk.
Yes, we're bringing to you today the third reading of ordinance 2024-1892 for Red Ventures. We have with us today, and I'll let them introduce themselves, two representatives directly from Red Ventures, as well as their legal firm, Bernie Mayback, law firm Adams and Reese, and former Director of Revenue for the state of South Carolina. They'll be brief.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, council, for the opportunity to be here. My name is Brian Benning. I'm senior counsel at Red Ventures at our headquarters in Indian Land. And with me this evening is Greg Schill, our director of real estate and facilities. Just want to say this evening how grateful we are for the relationship that we have with Lancaster County. We've had a wonderful experience since relocating here in 2009, investing and creating what we think is a very special place at our campus, getting to know and work with Director Falk and his staff as we've explored this and responding to the changes in the labor market, things since COVID. I just can't say enough positive about his proactive approach and just making us feel very welcome. And so I want to thank him and thank his staff, and then thank you all for the consideration. Just to say that we are so proud to be headquartered, a global company headquartered in Lancaster County, and we hope that you're proud to work here with you too.
Yeah, just like Greg Shield, I'd like to reiterate that, and you're great partners of ours, and thank Mr. Falk for all your help on this.
Ordinance 2024-1892 reads to authorize and approve the execution and delivery of an amended and restated fee agreement by and among Lancaster County, South Carolina, RV Imagitus LLC, and Lancaster Real Estate Group LLC, and to provide for other matters related thereto. Red Ventures is a top 5 employer in the county, employing 1,300 people at one point and having invested over $120 million in excess of the minimum investment required and that they were committed to achieve. Red Ventures is the third largest property taxpayer in the county, providing approximately $1.6 million in property tax revenue. This amendment will provide Red Ventures with more flexibility as to the required number of employees going forward. Without the proposed amendment reducing the required minimum number of employees to 600, Red Ventures would lose its 50% special source revenue credit for this 2024 year and for the remaining life of the SSRC agreement, which runs until 2036. The county is requiring that the 50% SSRC term be reduced from 20 years to 16 years. This means our Red Ventures will not receive special source revenue credits in the latter years. And in the meantime, there will be no change in revenues the county receives nor in the amount the company pays. Practically, Red Ventures, with no available land, plans to continue to grow and invest and will hire as many people as needed regardless of our agreements. The Economic Development Department recommends this amendment and requests your affirmative vote.
Any discussion, any questions? Any of these gentlemen? All right. Yeah, we do have a public hearing. No one signed up for this public hearing. So I'm looking for a motion to bring this matter to the floor.
Motion to approve.
Motion from Mr. Carr, second from Mr. Green. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, it's been my pleasure to represent the area that represents Red Ventures since I've been on council, and they've been a great company. I've had many interactions with their president, CEO, and various officers there, and they have always been a company that when they said they were going to do something, they did it. And, we have many companies like that in Lancaster County, and I think Red Ventures was a leader ever since they came into the county, and they have built the campus there that we as a county can be proud of, because it ranks right up there with campuses that are located throughout the country. Mr. Chair, Red Village is not in my area, and I appreciate you being in our county. I like the fact that you are community oriented. I've met with some of the officers a few times, and with your support of Promise Neighborhood, and I just want people to know that you supported this program that's down in the center of the county, so we surely appreciate that.
We all appreciate red pictures. So I think we're ready to vote now. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham.
Approve.
Charlene McGriff.
Approve.
Billy Mosteller.
Approve.
Jose Luis.
Approve.
Steve Harper.
Approve.
Alan Blackman.
Approve.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, we have unanimous approval of third reading of ordinance 2024-1892. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Let's move on down. We have a public hearing in first reading of ordinance 2024-1894 regarding rezoning property located at 1348 North Rocky River Road from rural business RUB district to general business GB district. The applicant is John Thompson. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion, Mr. Mosteller, and a second for Mr. Black. Ms. Harden.
Yes, sir. As you stated, this is a rezoning application from Mr. John Thompson. His property is located on Rocky River Road. It's currently a 3.82 acre parcel. And I say currently because that's part of the discussion that we need to have with you today. The intent of this, Mr. Thompson has a piece of property that has a existing car wash on it and has additional acreage. He'd like to install a warehouse unit or self-storage unit on the rest of the property, which is not currently allowed in the rural business district. It is allowed in the general business district, and there are other businesses in the area, so the applicant has asked for general business zoning. To show you where this is, the subject parcel on Rocky River Road is across from a Happy's Used Cars and Parts. The car wash is shown in the photo on the right, and there's a considerable amount of acreage left on the piece of property to the left of that picture. Under the analysis, with the comprehensive plan from that expires this year, and we'll be happy to see that go. And it indicates that the uses that are requested are in line with the comprehensive plan for this area. Different types of rural living and additional commercial uses are allowed, as you can see in the gray. The existing conditions, as I said, the site is already home to one business. The applicant wants to install a second business. In order to do that, it's going to have to subdivide the property. One of the catches about the request with the rezoning is that if he rezones the whole thing to GB, then that puts the car wash as a non-conforming use, as the car washes are not allowed in the general business district. But if he doesn't rezone it, he's not allowed to use it for additional business for warehousing. So the staff recommended a amended application saying that the condition would be to rezone a portion of it to GB and leave a portion of it as RUB so that we're not creating a non-conforming business that would then have it trouble in the future expanding or recreating if necessary. We took that request to the Planning Commission. We held a public hearing. There was no public input at the public hearing, and the Planning Commission recommended the conditional approval, with the condition being that the minor subdivision be processed prior to your last reading of an ordinance to make the change, and that the application be amended to reflect the 2.92 acres after you take out the 0.9 acres for the car wash.
Any questions for Ms. Harden?
Do we need to amend the motion to say that?
No, not at this time, because we don't have a survey with that.
Yeah, we're rezone that So we're rezoning the whole thing to GB?
If you would have a first reading of this and allow us to bring you an amended survey with the final acreage so that we're not estimating or guesstimating at the end, then that would help us go forward. It would be conditioned upon that being successfully done prior to the third reading. Yes, you could actually amend it now. Let me rephrase. You could amend it now. We don't have a final survey.
We'll have the final plat before it's approved.
Because right now, that .9 is an estimate based on
I
measurement from staff.
understand that, one thing, I'm just trying to get it clear in my head.
I got you.
My head's all stopped up and
All right, any more questions from Ms. Hall?
Well, just one observation as we're going through with the UDO. I mean, these two uses, I'm kind of embarrassed that we're asking the citizen to have to subdivide when these are two uses that I think would fit in a rural area. Maybe that's something we can address in the new UDO, so the future people wouldn't have to go through that expense and trouble.
Mr. Chair, this is in my district, and this would be real good for the citizens there. There's no storage facilities for people in the Beaufort area, and Mr. Thompson, if you've ever been out there and seen his car wash and everything, how neat and everything, he keeps everything, palm trees planted. I mean, it's first class stuff, so this would be a good fit. And it's across the road from a salvage yard, so it really is going to improve the area there, so.
All right, let's, any more questions for Ms. Hart before we have, a hearing? No, we do have a public hearing. No one's, go ahead, Mr. Louise.
There was a reference to spot zoning in the notes. Can you talk about that and kind of the explanation where you're saying that staff thought that it was right on the line of spot zoning, but then decided to argue that it was not spot zoning?
Yes, this is one of those situations where we could have argued either side of the coin. For this particular position, where spot zoning is not strategically defined or not specifically defined in the South Carolina Code of Laws, it is left up to the local jurisdiction. But it's typically said one small lot is different than everything around it. In this particular case, we have businesses that are very close by at the big important junction in Beaufort. You have other businesses that are just down the road, and you have that the comprehensive plan supports this type of business, particularly in this area as part of the expanded area of rural living. So we had support from the comprehensive plan. We had an acreage that could be its own district, and it has other commercial uses nearby. And we had recent information from a court case in Myrtle Beach about what spot zoning and reverse spot zoning was. And the idea being that in a legislative act, that the courts are going to give more deference to the community if they've got a real reason for the zoning decision that they made. With the comprehensive plan supporting this, and with there other uses in the area, we felt like this was not a hair to split on this one and move forward with it.
Okay, thank you for that. If you can send me a copy of that case law, that'd be fantastic.
Sure. Annie Creation versus City of Myrtle Beach. 11 points on that docket. All of them denied. It was incredible.
All right, any more questions for Ms. Hall? We have a public hearing and no one signed up.
That's
Chris, I'm looking for a motion to bring this matter to the floor. I think we already did. Let's do it the proper way. Do I need to restate that since I did it out of order? Am I good?
You're fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. Got a little ahead of myself. Any comments or discussion?
So, Mr. Chairman Parker, did we amend the motion?
Motion to approve.
no, we did not. We did not amend it. They asked if we
No,
amended it.
it's not amended, no.
Okay.
Staff would like to ask if you would hold off on amending the motion until the next time so that we can get the actual acreage on an actual survey rather than an estimation based on a sketch plan. I'd rather not get it wrong.
Okay.
And I would just like to echo what Mr. Mosteller stated about the car wash out in Buford. I wish all our businesses in Lancaster County kept their properties up like he does. Just first-class operation, and I feel sure that what he builds next to it will definitely not be eyesore to the community.
It won't be bad.
And I agree, I rode up and looked at the parcel, and, man, he does keep a neat lot out there, you know, everything out there is just so well manicured, and I trust that whatever he puts out there is gonna be top notch, first class looking.
All right, any more discussion? Roll call.
Terry Graham. Charlene McGriff. Billy Mosteller. Jose Luis. Steve Harper.
Approved.
Alan Blackman.
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, we have unanimous approval of first reading of order 2024-1894. Let's move on now to first reading of orders 2024-1895 regarding amending the fiscal year 2023-24 budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion
Second.
from Mr. Carnes, second from Ms. McGriff. Ms. Harris.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Council. Before you tonight is ordinance number 2024-1895. The first item included in this amendment is a supplemental revenue. It's a fund balance appropriation of $2,250,000. This appropriation will cover expenses associated with the purchase of a building and land that will co-locate a new food facility and voter registration. There's an additional amount and separate fund balance appropriation in the amount of $950,000 included in this amendment that will cover costs associated with the bid of this facility. Also noted in this amendment is a request for council to authorize the appropriation of $2 billion of ARPA funding that will go towards the purchase of the facility as well. And there's a final item in this amendment. It's an additional fund balance appropriation of $108,592 to cover the cost of the run for 2 ambulances for EMS. Glad to answer any questions.
We'll highlight on the screen that the ARPA funding. We've got $19 million that the county has allocated. We have different categories. Most of our expenditures we're putting what we call the revenue replacement category, which is what we've already allocated here. And so we have up to $10 million that we can put into the revenue replacement fund. We would add this $2 million for the facility purchase, which would take us to $7.3 million that would be allocated under the general revenue fund, so replacement fund. So we're within our limits of what we can do within the categories of ARPA. The ultimate answer, though, is that we have $1.5 million. If you allocate these $2 million, we basically have $1.5 million left to allocate from our ARPA funds. And so that still would, we'll have another conversation, could include Barnett or some other projects. But if you do this $2 million allocation, that would leave $1.5 million left in all of our 19 million.
That money has to be expended by 26.
Allocated by December 24, spent by December 26.
So I'm looking at the spreadsheet, and y'all did not present this in a way that only man can read it.
So a little narrow font, I'm sorry.
That's right. You know, at least your magnifying glasses. So we're already over 47,000 on the very first item.
Correct, yeah.
If everything else starts, well, if other things go over and that whole lot's going to go under, what's the plan to make up the difference?
So that's why we are, if you go on down that spreadsheet, under the second box, kind of, so there's a small, it says unassigned projects, revenue replacement, 500,000.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So that would be what I consider the contingent 500,000. There also are some cost savings in these projects up here, but that would be 500,000 which I said there's 1.5 million left to allocate. That 500,000, I would say would be contingency, and then we still have $1 million that you could allocate either for any other cost overruns, Barnett Building, or anything that you want. So we have the cushion here, but we have to, you're correct, we have to nail this down by December 2024 to fully commit all the projects.
But, I mean, did y'all, truly, did you just swag this 500,000? Did y'all kind of look at each project and say, well, we better, based on our history, go, plan for some more?
A little bit of both. I'll say these numbers are true. I mean, so these numbers that we had that have the allocated versus expended are current updates, so you know.
Yeah, but like the sheriff's evidence building is barely underway, so, man, if that thing went over.
Well, to that point, we've also sent out a note that we've gotten back the bids for the coroner's office expansion, and the bids have come over the budget amount. So we're doing a little value engineering, but that could be one scenario where we will need additional funding for that project. So the 500,000, yes, but I still say the other $1 million that we have is still part of contingency in my mind right now. Because we only have one other project identified, which is Barnett.
But hopefully by the end of this year, we will have all the money, sort of budgeted somewhere.
Correct.
Because we don't want to send a penny back.
Even the contingency will be budgeted somewhere.
Yes, I mean, yes, we'll have a better sense. But now, even to your point again about, we have on here the storage warehouse for emergency management. We have 705,000 allocated. We still don't have a project location, so that we could, if we needed to, we could lower that and just say 500,000 purchase land or whatever it may be. So it could be some phased in stuff. So we have a little bit of wiggle room, but my intention is we will have this all nailed down by December 2024.
Yes.
Yeah, with everything coming up, I just think we gotta be careful and try to keep these contingencies realistic and try to cover all these projects to keep them going into the
I know we need a contingency fund, but we need to also make sure we allocate it out to the last penny.
Especially if we start some and they're not finished and they have a cost overrun, then I think that's where you can get in big trouble.
Correct.
All right, Mr. Louise, any comments?
No, I'm good.
Any more comments up here?
Thank you for going easy on Ms. Harris on her first presentation as CFO.
It's all downhill from now. So you want some questions? I said, you want some questions?
All right, it sounds like we're ready to vote on first reading of ordinance 2024-1985. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham.
Approved.
Charlene McGriff.
Approved.
Billy Mosteller.
Approved.
Jose Luis.
Approved.
Steve Harper.
Approved.
Alan Blackman.
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, first reading of ordinance 2024-1895 passes by a vote of 7-0.
So Ms. Harris gets her first victory at 7-0.
Yes.
All right, let's move down to our final ordinance tonight. First reading of ordinance 2024-1896 regarding amending the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, related to removal of amusement, indoor and amusement outdoor from the use list of light industrial LI districts. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Graham, second, Mr. Mostello, Ms. Harden.
Yes, sir, this is, as part of the discussion from the last meeting, we talked about the uses that were allowed in the LI, and there were questions as to why amusement indoor and outdoor were allowed in the LI district. Went back several years, could not find out exactly why, but I think I have an idea, and it's based on the different types of uses that are allowed as amusements and how they're regulated. In the state of South Carolina, there are two different types, specifically two basic types. There are those that have rides and are outdoor amusements, and they are regulated by the Labor Employment Commission. And there are some that are coin-operated in nature. They're operated under regulations under the taxation section. I gave section references for both of those. The South Carolina Amusement Ride Safety Code tends to rule on outdoor amusements, plus any rides that are located indoors but that have those kind of mechanics. Interestingly enough, this is the same group that reviews our elevators. So things, businesses and things that have hydraulics and things that carry people from one place to another, they have similar operations, so they are both inspected by the same group. Coin-operated machines and devices and other amusements, those tend to be rules on indoor amusements, although it's not limited exclusively to indoor. Includes the terms games of chance. As you might recall, back in the early 2000s, we had video group discussions and run around getting that out of the state, and that worked. They also regulate licenses for coin-operated amusements, billiards, foosball, bowling lane tables, and skee-ball tables. So those are the two basic types of amusements that we have in the state. Passive versus active. Active tends to need more space. Passive recreation or passive amusements often can be held indoors and have maybe less impact on the neighbors depending upon noise and the like. Games of chance versus games of skill. With games of chance, you have your coin-operated amusements that return a benefit, a financial benefit or a reward to the player. Now, you are allowed to provide a reward for a tournament or for a different type of skill game. For instance, my son likes to play games that include card games of Risk, that where you have people that compete against each other. My mother even likes to do that too. She plays bridge. My son plays Magic the Gathering. They're two very different games, but they're in the same pot, pardon the pun, of the same kind of use. And then there's indoor and outdoor amusements. And outdoor amusements have different impacts on neighboring uses, and the nuisances are often more regulated than indoor amusements. We're talking about noise, dust, smells, and the like. Conditions on amusement in our code currently are that there's no separation requirement, or excuse me, there's a separation requirement that's 250 feet away from residential districts or uses. And the conditions that are on there, as you can see, I've highlighted with bold and italic, that these are the same kind of things that we regulate in businesses that have nuisances. They might have too strong the light system, they might be too loud through the loudspeakers, they might have operations during times when people are trying to sleep. The machinery may be too close and may create additional noise, and then there's disposable waste products that control noise. All of this is part of the requirements for amusements. So I went to staff and we tried to figure out where the amusements were in Lancaster County. We don't have a a business license list to pull from. So we did some searching, we did some calling around. I found 8 of them that I could easily identify and the location. All of them are in either a GB or NB or AR zone with a couple of exceptions. There are 2 that are in the city, Shamrock Bingo and Crow's Nest at Arrowwood are both in the city. Both of these came up as amusements when we did searches. We also have the miniature golf and Charlotte Highway, Lancaster Bowling Center, Timeout, which is a pool hall, Jumpin' Jacks on Charlotte Highway, Coates Billiards in Kershaw, and Tumble and Roll and indoor gymnastics. Tumble and Roll could go either way, depends upon whether it focuses more on education and gymnastics training, or if it focuses in on just having a good time and letting kids play. None of those, however, are in the LI zone. Anywhere in the county, we could not find one in the LI zone. So we recommend that you give first reading to this and pass it back to the Planning Commission for review in a public hearing. If there's support, you could also reevaluate the uses for potential and proper expansion in the UDO rewrite, identifying other zones for implementation as infill opportunities, because there are a lot of indoor passive recreation things like escape rooms or timed intelligence or IQ type quizzes, where it's a small footprint, but still creates a family atmosphere, still creates an event for families to attend where they can go and get out of the house for a while. Takes up a lot less space than a movie theater, does get them working together and having some fun. And it's an opportunity for using, or filling in spaces in like a, they don't use the word strip center, it's a linear retail center.
So what are they allowed now other than LI?
They're allowed in GB and in REB, and I'll get the rest of the list out, because I can't believe I didn't pull that first. Thank you for asking.
Well, I thought I saw it on the screen, but you moved so fast I didn't get it.
Sorry. So those are the uses that are currently out there, and they're in the zones that are shown.
Oh, I saw it on there, but I didn't pick it up.
My only concern is, this has never been an issue. The industrial parks have restrictions on what you can do in them, and I just think it's unnecessary regulation.
So indoor amusements are allowed in REB, which is the rural business. Also allowed as a conditional use in the RB, the regional business. Conditional use in the LI. And that's the outdoor amusements, excuse me. The indoor amusements are in the REB, the GB, the general business, the RB, the regional business, the LI, the MX, and the IMX.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Marcel.
I agree with this, not being in our light industrial. And I also, there's plenty of other places these places could go if they wanted to go with the RUB or whatever. But our industrial parks, we need to clean up. When you were talking about some of the other stuff that's in there, I think with our new UDL, we need to look at some other stuff that could be cleaned up in there that we don't want in our industrial parks. We got to protect our big employers in our county, and so I don't want to put nothing in there that's going to be a problem with anything else. I'd like to let's look at that.
Thank you, I will. I will, and if you'd like to add in the other uses that were mentioned, the dance schools and the like, we'll do evaluation on that as well. I focused in on the amusements because that's what we discussed primarily. But if you'd like to add in the art, dance, martial arts, and music schools, we can do that as well.
Yeah, I would like to add those like that as well. Just because any of those uses are going to be more public facing and inviting public, especially children, should not be in the light industrial.
Any more discussion?
So I have another question. So
Go ahead.
Is this going to apply to existing owners? So someone that is in LI right now, does this impact them at all?
It makes them non-conforming. It doesn't mean that they have to shut down. It means that if they shut down for 6 months, they would not be able to reopen that use in that particular location if they're in the LI.
But if they own the property, can they build one?
If they own the property, if you pass it tonight, they would not be able to build an amusement on that property in the LI zone.
Are you sure about that? 'Cause wouldn't that be considered a taking?
No, sir, because there's a lot of other uses allowed in the LI zone. The ordinance was written up with a pending ordinance doctrine. If you don't want to use the pending ordinance doctrine, then you can wait the 3 readings and make it happen. But with the pending ordinance doctrine, it happens now.
Hey, Jenny, could this be considered a conditional or not conditional, a taking if we take someone's zoning away?
I think that what Director Harden is trying to say is not that we're taking anything away this evening. The way the ordinance is written is pending ordinance just to stop any further movement on these things from this point forward. And then depending on third reading, how you all do it, certainly we could think about grandfathering or like she's talking about non-conforming uses. So there are ways to address it.
Grandfathering, if I remember correctly, happens automatically. So anything that might be impacted by this would be grandfathered, but we haven't found any in the LI zone currently.
What I'm saying is, so if somebody's, so let's talk about the McMillan Park. So if the current owner, who now has an approved zoning use for an amusement center. If this passes, could he not still put in an amusement center?
No. No, not the way it's written.
Right, but when he purchased the property, he had an approved zoning use.
He doesn't have a permit.
Correct.
He doesn't, but he has an approved zoning. He's currently allowed to do that. He purchased that property, that use already in existence.
I understand your question. I'm trying to find the best way to answer it. Let's say I bought a property and I have the ability to do everything in the GB zone. And the ordinance comes through and I want to put a grocery store, and before I get a permit for it, the council says, no, we're not gonna put grocery stores in the GB anymore. That does not constitute a taking. Because I wanted to put it there and I don't have a permit for it, does not mean I have the right to do it. There are other uses in the GB that provide me a livelihood if I so choose to have them. I'm not taking away the full use. Just because you want to do it and it suddenly becomes unable for you to do it, does not mean that you are getting a taking.
Can we get a legal opinion on that? Because my understanding is different, because when you're taking somebody's use that they purchased the property, let's say somebody intended to have that use, they purchased it with that existing use already in place. If you change that, I believe that can be construed as a taking.
Jose, I just want to make one comment to your point. As we get ready to rewrite the UDO, there will be a lot, I anticipate, of rezonings or redefining what the zoning really meant or right now.
Right.
So, to your point, it's a good question that we know the answer to that question, but I do believe from my past readings back in the Joint Planning Commission time that there's case law out there, and I don't have it, I'll be honest with you, that was 25 years ago.
Lucasburg v. Coastal Council of South Carolina.
Yeah, but anyway, so I do think that we can rezone and not be a taking. And of course, my concern is if we rezone, I'm hoping that what we'll always do is we'll be providing our citizens with a better, higher and best use than maybe what they have in the current UDO. That might be a pipe dream, but I'm hoping going forward that rezonings, we're actually helping people with a higher and best use than what they currently have.
I'm gonna make one final
No,
statement.
I agree. I think there's no problem with rezoning. It's the question of if you don't allow the existing owner that was there before the rezoning to continue to have the use of the old zoning because they were grandfathered in.
Well, we've probably had, 4 iterations of UDO in Lancaster County. And so I could see where someone 4 iterations ago bought a piece of property, and because of growth in Indian land, they probably got rezoned 3 more times. So I think that common sense tells us that we can rezone. But again, I think we'll read the case law with that for sure.
Yeah, I think getting a legal opinion on that would be helpful.
I just want to restate my position. I've been on here 11 going on 12 years. Never have used pending ordinance doctrine. Very unusual for a problem that does not or has never existed. These industrial parks have restrictions against them. And I'm concerned you might end up with unintended consequences like jumping jacks right there. That was a converted distribution for cigarettes. There may be industrial buildings out in the country that will have to repurpose for something else. And I just think, especially with killing something that does not, a problem that does not exist, I just have an issue with trying to push something through when there's not a problem.
the commercial buildings, it's industrial parks that we're trying to protect.
That's what I would say, they have protections built in.
So, I think another issue we have really, what he talked about is, I heard, I think, Councilman Louise, and I think Councilman Mosteller wanted, as opposed to what the chairman's talking about, unfortunately, but I think they wanted to look at these other uses in the industrial designation. So this ordinance, I believe, is just going to take into consideration one of the things, two of them. So how many more do we have that? I'm just saying, do we need to do an amendment and see if everybody else wants to look at all the other uses that might need to be taken out of light industrial?
I think for the second reading, they can bring back all the permitted use table. I don't even know if it's in there.
But can we make the amendment then and be successful since
Yeah,
we're
you can
posting
do it
it
second.
with one? Okay, thank you.
But it is going to the planning commission after this reading.
Yeah, so they can study it,
Yes.
hard work.
We'll look for their recommendations.
All right?
Any more discussion? I think everybody knows how to.
Could I just ask a point here? I mean, we're in the process of rewriting the UDO, and we've already stated, although council's not always followed that, why don't we let the process follow the process instead of jumping out into something else?
That's where I'm at, Councilman Carter.
All right, any more discussion?
I think we're ready to vote.
Ready to vote, call for a vote, please.
Terry Graham,
Approved.
Charlene McGriff,
Approved.
Billy Mosteller,
Approved.
Jose Luis,
Opposed?
Steve Harper,
Opposed?
Alan Blackman,
Approved?
Brian Carnes,
Opposed?
First reading of ordinance 2024-1896 passes by a vote of 4, and 3 opposed. Let's move on down to our discussion and action items. We have discussion of the prioritization of community needs for the 2024 for funding opportunities for community development block grants, CDBG, and we have Ms. Grazier Ray, Community Development Director for the Catawba Regional Council of Governments.
And actually, Mr. Chairman, I'll jump in before we ask Ms. Ray. At your dais for council members, we have in front of you the prioritized community needs. It says February 2024, and it has some yellow highlights on it. This is what would be the recommended update to the community needs assessment. Within your agenda packet, we have the current one, and Ms. Ray can follow behind me in a second here. But what you'll see is, as we talk about what can we do to change our needs assessment to help where we think there may be some opportunities to apply for CDBG grants. And so you'll see on number 1 there at your dais is that we added updating buildings and facilities, but we specifically call out fire stations, purchase of fire trucks. We also have about upgrades of county facilities and accessibility as disabled persons, and those projects definitely qualify, energy improvements. So that's how we kind of expanded on that one that will make us more eligible. Then we also highlighted in number 2 there, the upgrade and extend water sewer services for low and moderate. That can help us partner with other folks. For instance, the town of Kershaw does have a project, and Ms. Ray can speak to that. But then also we do have on there, which has already been on here before, but we have number 3, demolish vacant dilapidated structures in low to moderate income neighborhoods. Low to moderate income neighborhoods definitely qualify, and so if we want to have a more robust opportunity to do some demolition or whatever, that's there in our priority now. And then again, we go on down, and most of it's basically the same. We do talk about update or undertake neighborhood revitalization, same thing on there. So those are kind of the highlights that we would ask for your action tonight to adopt the updated community needs. But let me ask Ms. Ray if she wanted to add anything to that. Ms. Ray? Grace, I don't know if you're on mute or if you're trying to speak. We're not able to hear you.
thank you. I was on mute. I'm sorry. First of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I also, this really wasn't we revised. It was to try to put up at the top, because the items or projects we want to apply for have to be in the top 3. So that's why we kind of changed everything around and try to add more things into number 1 so that we can kind of get as much as we could with that. Because I know there's some interest in maybe applying for some fire trucks, and I'm sure there might be some other community facilities. Also, I know we talked about, as we said before, we already have an application for the municipal court part that's in the city of Lancaster, and I was able to talk to Chris Cloud today. He just happened to email me over the weekend and said something about, maybe some parks, and so we also talked about some parks that he might be interested in that might qualify for us if they do. One is in the town of Kershaw, so hopefully some of those things will work. The things that are highlighted are things that, like number 4, we're already putting fire stations up under number 1. EMS is not eligible for these funds, so I just thought it would be just as well to take that off if you want to. The same thing under number 6, the last item, the franchise, curbside, solid waste collections in target areas. I'm not sure if that's eligible either, so I just thought we'd just take that off. And then the second page, 9, 10, and 11, all those have to do with transportation and things that really, a lot of those things will be under the highway department anyway, so I thought, why not take those off too? But you certainly don't have to. I was just suggesting that, but you can leave them on if you want to.
And Ms. Ray, would you highlight one more time on number 2 there, where the county is asked to be a co-applicant for the Kershaw, though it has no responsibility or liability for the county? Can you outline that a little bit, please?
I'll be happy to. Thank you. The town of Kershaw is applying for CBG as well as RIA funds for infrastructure authority. They're applying for both of those to do some more upgrades on the wastewater treatment plant. And because there's a significant number of out-of-town customers that they have that are in the county, not in the town, the state, the CDBG folks, they make us do, they require that we do a joint application with the county, since they're county residents that will be benefiting from that. What that means is that the county will be, the name will be on that application, and let you know too, it's not for the rural infrastructure, it's just for the CDBG. But that, what it means is that Mr. Marshall will have to sign the application pages, which are just the cover page and just some typical pages. There will be no financial requirements for this. In fact, one nice thing when we do projects, when we do CDBG and the rural infrastructure together, one can match the other, which is great. So, but the town is going to be paying, the only thing that really that the town will have to pay for is the administrative cost for the RIA, and the rural infrastructure to pay us, and then for the environmental review. But they're covering that, so nothing will be coming out of the county's coffers. It will run through the county's system, because the county, that's for the park. So no, so actually there's nothing at all there. There's nothing, we don't have a bank account, nothing is being rolled down. Everything goes through the town. It's just in neighborhood. Yeah, and also another thing is it does not count against you for any of your open free projects, or having them, well, so it's not real infrastructure. So you still have 2 open slots to apply for. So in essence, it's really in neighborhood.
Mr. Chair, for clarification, we need to move up projects to the top 3. Now, what are you recommending? I see you on number 6, you got franchise, curbside, solid waste collection in target areas, and then you got highlighted 9, 10, and 11. So what are we moving up?
Those are to be deleted.
Taking those off.
To be
They
deleted.
No, you're taking
They don't
them.
qualify.
Don't qualify. You got EMS doesn't qualify. Fire station is already included in one, right? So what are we recommending to move up?
If you would take the document here and take out all the highlights, that would be the recommended resolution adoption for the updated community needs assessment.
So 5 will become 4,
Correct.
and we'll take out of 6 that franchise card
Correct?
and eliminate 9, 10, and 11.
Yep.
Okay. I've got a couple of questions, and after I read your administrative report, weekly report, the only thing I really want to know is, as projects come available that we qualify for, please let us know what we're applying for. Like, it could be anything. Just keep us in tune. Now, I'll be into them because I'll be sitting at the table. But I want the other county members to understand exactly what Lancaster is applying for. And even the ones that we sign off on, because we're the lead agent, lead county.
Okay.
We still need to know what those dollars are doing.
I'll be glad to do that, so I'll just send that through, Mr. Marshall and his staff, and they can pass it on, but I can, in fact, what we'll do, we'll be honest with you, we'll send them copies of the application, but we'll have when we do the public hearing, we have, I do a little, that's all little cheat sheet, but it's just an overview of the project, that's give you just a good, how much it is and what it's going to do and all that. So I'll just make sure that actually I'll send that to Ms. Simpson so she can make sure y'all get it and whatever, however she gets information to you.
And Ms. Ray, we are on a current application timeline of, is it March 22nd or April 22nd?
Yeah, on March 22nd, the application request is due, and then April 22nd is when the applications are due.
So we'll see potentially,
Yeah.
we may apply for something.
Okay, so we'll have.
No, well,
resolution
it's too late, it's too late,
You said it's too
Too late,
late.
okay.
So what, Greg?
it's too late to come up with the project now for this round. Well, because we really identified those back in January, February. I mean, we've already, I mean, it's crunch time now with the ones that we have going on. But, I know the ones that we're talking about, that we've been talking about, like with the parks and all those sort of things and fire stations, those won't be due until, the application request will be due in August, with the applications due in September. So I told Chris today when we spoke that after we get these applications, infrastructure applications in, we will try to set a meeting with them in May and go and try to identify some things. Although I'll probably identify them before then. But anyway, now is the time we can get about the fall. So this is a great time in all of these.
So, Mr. Chairman, we could use a motion to adopt the needs assessment with edits as discussed, and that would be sufficient for us to have this finalized tonight.
Somebody make that motion?
So moved.
Second. From Mr. McGriff, second from Mr. Barnes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Terry Graham, Charlie McGriff, Billy Mosteller, Jose Luis,
Approved.
Steve Harper,
Approved.
Alan Blackman,
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
All right, we have unanimous approval of our prioritization of community needs as amended. All right, let's move on down to our executive session. I make a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding the Lancaster County Board of Zoning Appeals and Lancaster County Planning Commission, and receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding a claim involving stormwater.
Mr. Chairman, we need to add to that motion to invite the Director of Stormwater into executive session for the second item.
figure, the stormwater in for our second item. And Mr. Blackman made a motion.
Second.
Mr. Carter seconded. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham,
Approved.
Charlene McGriff, Billy Mosteller,
Approved.
Jose Luis,
Approved.
Steve Harper,
Approved.
Alan Blackman,
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
We have unanimous approval to go into executive session. This board is now in executive session.
Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Thank you so much.
Actually, I appreciate that very much.
Ms. Simpson, let me know when
We're ready.
I'd like to call this meeting, Lancaster County Council back to order. I have a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Motion for Mr. Carter, second for Ms. McGriff. Roll call, please.
Terry Graham,
Approved.
Charlene McGriff, Billy Mosteller,
Approved.
Jose Luis,
Approved.
Steve Harper,
Approved.
Alan Blackman,
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, we have unanimous approval to come out of executive session tonight.
Mr. Chairman, council met in executive session in regards to two items: the receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding the Lancaster County Board of Zoning Appeals, and receipt of legal advice subject to the attorney-client privilege regarding a claim involving stormwater. No motions were made and no votes were taken.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
make a motion to approve the settlement agreement as discussed in executive session.
I have a motion from Ms. McGriff. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Carnes. Do we have discussion out here? We can have discussion.
Well,
Limited, yes.
Limited.
Okay, vague, vague,
Yes or
vague.
opposed?
Vague, yes, very
Vague.
vague.
Well, let me say, I think we discussed it ad nauseum in executive session. I've got no more to say.
Good.
All right,
I've
I
only
think,
got one word.
Charlene agrees with me. Good.
let's roll call, please.
Terry Graham,
Opposed.
Charlene McGriff,
Approved.
Billy Mosteller,
Approved.
Jose Luis,
Approved.
Steve Harper,
Opposed?
Alan Blackman,
Opposed.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
All right, we have a motion for Ms. McGriff. It passes by a vote of 4 for and 3 opposed. So that-
She's a sore winner.
so-
I'm putting money on the line.
Yeah.
All right, it's 8:42. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Have a motion, Mr. Collins, have a second.
You don't need a second, really.
No,
Mr. Blackman, would you second?
I'll second.
Mr. Blackman, second.
I'm a team
Roll
player.
call, please.
Terry Graham,
Approved.
Charlene McGriff,
Approved.
Billy Mosteller,
Approved.
Jose Luis,
Approved.
Steve Harper,
Approved.
Alan Blackman,
Approved.
Brian Carnes.
Approved.
We have unanimous approval to adjourn. This meeting is adjourned.